I think it may have opened in like 68, maybe 68, 69.
Yeah.
That sounds more like it.
Yeah.
I remember it opening somewhere around 70, I thought, but
I think it was 70.
70 maybe, yeah, could be.
We'll have to get Larry Gregg's book and take a look and see. He probably has it recorded in there.
You know, back on the outhouse thing.
How about the library?
Does anybody remember charging the Rolla Theater the same night to get a free movie? I remember the whole crowd going from the outhouse burning and up to the Rolla Theater, and they let us all in to get a free movie.
You were about to ask about. You were asking about the library. I worked in the library when I first started in the 70s. I worked all 4 years there, and it moved in 67, I believe. It's where I met my wife. As a matter of fact, she worked there too.
Well, see, when I was in school, the library was in Parker Hall.
Right, that's where I started working.
When I started school, where the library was an auditorium, had a stage and seating with a balcony, and when the library moved out of there, they converted that all to 2 stories of office space. So, and the library was a good place to go because it was air conditioned, and the study house was not air conditioned. So that's what enticed me to use the library. So now I understand that. Heck, the library even has a coffee shop in it, as I understand.
Yes, you're correct.
I think they opened the gym 69, 70, because that's when they started the wrestling team.
Okay, could be.
Rename.
How about St. Pat's? How about the St. Pat's celebrations? Some say they were raunchier in the old days, and some say no, they were pretty mild compared to how they were in the 90s.
You remember Alice?
Oh yeah.
Changing the name to George Kendall. Sorry.
I can't imagine being worse now than they were in the 70s.
I was on the board, so it was pretty raunchy back then.
I remember you on the board, and that was a pretty party weekends, man.
Define raunchy.
Well,
define raunchy.
If you probably remember that the board would take a break and all gather around Alice and kind of christen her.
No, I don't remember that.
Yes.
Now that's more nasty than raunchy, honestly.
Yeah.
Tomato. There was a dead skunk in there one year. I remember that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
The size of the tub seemed like it got larger every year. You know, I think that was start out as a trough about 2 feet wide by about 6 feet long. And then it got to be circular, and the tank got larger in diameter, and before you know it, people were being thrown in bodily.
Oh, yes.
Because I can remember my freshman or sophomore year, it was just a little bucket, and you bowed down and were knighted. And as it progressed, it got to be a little more.
I think one of the more interesting things was how the people who were going to get initiated prepared themselves for such ceremony.
I remember the nights coming back from getting dunked at the fraternity house. You talk about nasty looking guys. Oh man.
I don't know if you know it or not, but the base for Alice was stale milk from the dairy.
Oh.
That was where Alice started with.
Well, it was a horse trough every time that I went to it. That's basically that 2 by 6 foot type thing.
Yeah, that's how it was. And fraternity brother and I used to pile all 8 of our kids into the car and come down for St. Pat's in the late 70s and early 80s, and it got to be a large circular tank, as I recall. So, how about some of the parades?
For St. Pat's too, I do remember the elaborate shillelaghs around campus in preparation for St. Pat's weekends. There really were some fancy ones.
Yeah, that is true. They really got, I think they still, I know my house still makes carves a shillelagh every year. It looks like, you know, it's a tree trunk. It's with all the roots, and they do fancy things with it and build hideouts into it, and cabinets and so on.
I remember shillelaghs on wheels that people used to pull behind them.
Yeah, motorized ones.
Yeah. How about when you were in school? Did you make individual shillelaghs in your different houses?
No.
Carried them on campus.
It was part of the pledging process.
Yeah.
Or hazing, as they call it now.
Yeah. It was traditional.
Yeah, definitely was.
Yeah. Because I can remember making a shillelagh. Everybody, and we all carried them to campus, and you had to leave them sit outside the different buildings. You couldn't carry it into class with you. Now that was early in the '60s, so that tradition.
And the beards too. Everybody had to try to grow a beard.
Yeah. Grow a beard.
Now they grow.
So
how about
hey Matt, can anybody explain the difference between cudgels and shillelaghs? What's the difference between those two?
Probably only if you got hit by one.
Good answer.
So the size.
The shillelagh is more of a club, and the shillelagh is more of a walking stick.
Yeah, they were walking sticks when I went there. You could barely carry them.
A shillelagh from Ireland was made of blackthorn, and it had the knot where it joined the tree, and it was truly a walking stick. I have my grandpa's.
Ah.
Well, Joan, you're on. Well, how about the Art Golden Shillelagh presents a shillelagh to each new inductee?
I was the one asking the question because we give the walking stick version of the shillelagh every time a new member of OGS is installed at the gala ceremony. We also give, if it's a couple or an individual, we give you a 14 karat gold shillelagh pin for your lapel. But I've seen various cudgels, all what I believe to be cudgels, the really big tree trunk ones, the beautiful carved ones. I've seen them around campus or at various places. And I've always wondered if there was a different tradition associated with the cudgel than with the shillelagh. I never quite understood the distinction.
Oh, that's what they called shillelaghs. They were, and you got as big a one as you could carry. Most of the kids did from the frats.
Yeah.
Joan, I just looked it up.
Okay.
The difference between a shillelagh and a cudgel is that shillelaghs is a wooden, especially open club ending with a large knob, while a cudgel is a short, heavy club with a rounded head used as a weapon.
Okay, there you have it.
Google strikes again.
Google. Yeah, I don't remember them ever being called cudgels when I was there. We always called them shillelaghs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any input?
How about, here's one that it changed after I got out of school, but how about the ratio of men to women on campus?
3,100.
1 or 2%.
I remember 55 in 1968, I think.
I think that's right.
Next
I always remember
every one of them.
I always remember telling people that you could go back to the dorm after a day on campus and say, "Did you see the beautiful girl in the blue sweater?" And everybody went, "Yeah." Because there weren't many to see.
And far between.
Well, then, how about
do I dare bring
the
up
party
the
weekends?
What?
Anybody remember the gal cricket? You wouldn't forget her.
No.
You did forget her. Never mind.
My memory of the girls' dormitory was a Halloween night when they would burn the outhouse in front of the chancellor's house.
Oh, here it is.
And somewhere along the line, everybody started marching together to do stupid stuff. And let's go to the girls' dorm and raid that. And there was nobody there because they were all in the crowd.
Yeah.
They were called panty raids.
Panty raids.
Yeah.
You nerds.
Where was the girls' dorm?
The infirmary.
Yep.
Yeah, it was right across from the chancellor's house, up about north a half a block.
Yeah, well, when I was in school, there was a house as you came up State Street. You had the teak house, and then you had the infirmary, then the Kappa Sig house, and then you had a red brick house where a bunch of girls lived, and that's what we knew as the girls' dorm. I don't even know if it was an official school residence, but
north of Kappa Sig is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an official campus residence for the ladies, but there was only about a dozen roughly there.
Yeah. He probably didn't focus on that. It was close enough.
How about the girls would come down for party weekends?
Or the guys from Fort Leonard Wood. He's got the guys about the guys from Fort Leonard Wood coming in and going, "Hey, let's party."
Yeah, I'm looking for women. You know, we're just party in this town.
Yeah. There was a bus from Lindenwood, wasn't it? That's when it was an all-girls school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Barnes too, right?
There was a bunch. One year there was a bus load from Fontbonne.
Scotty.
But my wife, who's sitting next to me right here, would come in every year for every homecoming and every St. Pat's. So we had some good times in Rolla. That's
awesome.
She experienced the same Rolla that I did.
Well, except
that was
senior year, we were married, and I was teaching in St. James, and I lived in Rolla. So.
Too much information.
Yeah. Yeah. How about Saturday morning classes?
I was really familiar with this.
Saturday morning classes, had they done away with those by the time you guys were in school?
No. Physics on Saturday morning.
That was one. In fact, everybody had the standardized physics exam. I think it was 7:30 in the morning on Saturday.
Yep.
Physics test.
Followed by going to the theater to watch Roadrunner cartoons.
Those Saturday morning physics tests it seemed like it rained every Saturday morning at 7:30 when we trudged our way up to that campus. You know what? It did to me. It always seemed like it was raining. Maybe it was just raining in my head because of Friday night.
We used to go to the Greyhound bus station to study for the physics tests on Saturday morning. We'd stay up all night, play pinball, and study at the bus station.
Really?
Yep.
Do we remember getting Alex's pizza to keep yourself awake?
Oh yeah. And there were usually two because you had a lab test
to keep you awake.
I still have my Alex's Pizza bowling shirt. They sponsored us.
You fit into it?
Didn't have to have a pizza.
Yeah, just barely.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think towards when you guys graduated, there weren't any Saturday classes, but those physics tests and certain tests. But when I started school, Saturday classes were a standard. You know, if you were taking a 3-hour class and it met Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning, or you might have had a Saturday morning lab.
Chemistry lab, Saturday morning.
Yep, Chem Lab. Yep.
Chem Lab, Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, 7:30.
Yeah, I have to tell you all a story about those Saturday morning physics tests. And some of you have heard this before, I think. But I was at one of the OGS events, I was talking to Sandy Magnus, the astronaut from Raleigh. And I was commiserating, I thought, with her about those Saturday morning physics tests and how awful they were. And she said, Jim, do you know why I'm an astronaut? I said, no. She says, because I liked those tests.
It made me feel amazing. I know this.
Yeah.
That's lovely. I love that. That's a great story.
Hey, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know if any of you had Virgil Flanagan for any classes. He taught in the mechanical engineering department.
Virgil Flanagan, do you remember?
But when he was an undergrad, he was a fraternity brother of mine, and he was at the time working on his master's and then his doctorate. So he would always have a Saturday class because he was the low man on the totem pole in the department, and we always wondered on Friday night if he was going to make it to class, and guys would cut class and there'd be Virgil ready to lecture the class on Saturday morning, and half the class probably wasn't there. Yeah. How about eating clubs? Were eating clubs still on campus?
Oh, yeah.
Shamrock was where I was.
It's good to hear. I was wondering if there was any of the other eating club guys there, because I hear a lot of the fraternities.
Yeah, I was campus club.
Engineers Club is across from the Double E building.
Yeah,
Shamrock Club.
I think it's gone now.
Yeah, I was in the Engineers Club.
Tech Club, 59ers.
Oh, $30 a month.
Yeah.
$30 a month for
about 50 for us.
They've all closed now. There is no eating clubs.
But Shamrock was perfect because we had a pool hall right underneath it. So we played pool every night.
My roommate from TJ and I got I would call it a bungalow that we rented, which I remember the rent was utilities, $83 a month. That was the two of us combined. And we could go to a butcher somewhere around where the train station was and buy a side of beef for $120 and store it in their locker for an additional $10, $20, whatever it was for the year. And that lasted us all year.
Okay.
Hard to believe that. By the way, is any of the faculty that we would have had during our time there still alive?
Oh, good question. Jerry Bailey's passed away a few years ago.
They'd be older than dirt, but we're all older than dirt, right?
Yeah, Jerry Bayless passed away a few years ago. Chuck Remington, same way. Yeah. Those are the only two I can think of.
You'd have to be.
Well, I know that.
I thought I had seen articles about Delbert Day as a professor emeritus.
Yeah, yeah, Delbert Day's still around. Yeah, that's right. Bill James in the chemistry department. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got out of that department as quick as I could. Yeah. How about Alex's? It had opened in the mid '60s, so I'm sure it was going well then. It still is. In fact, we just had Alex Pizza for dinner tonight here at the Alumni House. Moutres.
It was there.
It's still, yeah. It's not called Moutres anymore. It's called the patch.
Oh, Tater Patch.
Tater Patch.
Yeah, this is the guy they're talking about.
Yeah. Top Hat Lounge.
I'll tell you when I come time.
Better known as
Top Hat Lounge was great. I got to tell you, I was down there for either a trustee meeting or a academy meeting, and I was literally at the Top Hat Lounge the last night it was open. And we celebrated in the Top Hat Lounge.
Where was the Top Hat Lounge?
It was
over the bowling alley.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was over the bowling alley.
I remember it.
Yeah.
Did the bowling alley close too then?
They had one of those hand shuffleboard things. Remember, you slide the pucks down the.
Yeah. Well, the Top Hat Lounge reopened as a place called the Locker Room.
Right.
But then that has now closed and moved up across from St. Pat's Church. But yeah, the Top Hat Lounge, and we knew it when I was in school as Bear Tracks because a guy by the name of Bear Burton was the bartender. But he left there in about 63 or 64 and took a job on campus as an on-campus mailman. So you got, maybe you all, that was before you guys started school, or most of you.
There was some place next to TJ or not too far from TJ. And I want to say if you came off the highway, was that 61 or 63, the highway? 63. You'd pass what was then a Standard station, go a little further on the right. It was kind of a house, maybe brown wood or something like this. They had a beer garden. It was a pretty good bar and good hamburgers. I don't remember the name of it. Is that still around?
Swiss Chalet.
Is that what it's called? Okay, it's pretty good.
Well, when I was in school, there was a place going 63 north out of town called Ramey's, which had excellent hamburgers. The trouble is you needed a car to get out there. And so, you know, I don't know how long that stayed open.
I remember maybe the four best places supposedly to eat were Zeno's, someplace down on 63 heading south. I don't remember the name of it. The Carney Manor. What's the other one? I'm forgetting one. Maybe I'm not. Howard Johnson's.
How about the Houston House in Newburgh?
Anybody remember the Houston House?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was that down? There was something near Doolittle.
Newburgh.
Well, Newburgh.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Back on 63 by TJ, there was a place called Rock Villa, and it was run by Dewey Algood's ex-wife.
That might have been the place I was thinking of.
It's unclear if the supermodel used a surrogate or adopted, but last year.
Well, how about you mentioned Dewey Algood? You all remember Dewey Algood as a football coach, and before him, Billy Key was the basketball coach.
Remember all those times?
Okay, have anybody who played football or basketball on?
Joe Keaton, wrestling coach.
Oh yeah, was he was an assistant football coach. Big Joe.
I had a question.
To some of the professors and various departments and that, I guess in my major, the two, well, Bernard Sarche, who started the thing, but I also have very fond memories of Captain Christie. If anybody had him.
Yeah, that was cool. He was cool.
Boy, I would second that. Captain Christie, Bernie, and Dr. Cuthbertson as well, and Gordon Weiss in that department.
Frank Tippett rather. Stock production management. You wouldn't forget the guy.
the guy in there named Tippett. He spelled it T-I-P-P-E-T-T because they didn't want to spell it the same way backward and forward.
Yep, that's what he did.
Yeah.
And the guy actually did me. There were two people there to help me a lot: Bob Eccles and Chisholm, Professor Chisholm.
What department was that?
Engineering management.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember him.
Icon in electrical engineering was Professor Grimm. You know, he had a habit back then. I don't think he'd get away if he was around today. It was not. I don't think it was meant anything. But he was your advisor for all freshman electrical engineers. I started out in electrical engineering. And
all the double E's started out with Grimm's book, didn't he?
I'm
started
sorry.
out with Grimm's textbook in double E, didn't you?
I didn't hear what you said.
Didn't Grimm write the textbook for the freshman engineer, electrical?
Double E 41.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
I still have that little blue textbook.
Habit that you weren't aware it's going to happen. You don't think you meant anything by it, but you left the office, all of a sudden he grab you and give you a bear hug. Nobody else remembers that. Okay.
I had two guys in the double E department, a guy by the name of Now who wrote a book, Double E 171. And then I had Tom Herrig for the other class. And that's as much time as I spent in the double E department.
Matt, I can't believe you haven't mentioned the old card reader for your deck of cards at the computer center and you get 1 out of 500 in there backwards, and what happened?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I never had any. What happened?
Anybody remember Pop Warren and what the guy, I don't remember his real name, I guess it was Dr. Cole or Professor Cole. We used to call him Cozy Cole.
Cozy Cole, mechanical, yep. Yeah.
Physics.
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking of the punch card system too, and the computer programs we used to have to write.
Oh man.
Yep.
Try and figure out
syntax there.
Programs.
Syntax there.
I swear they only had 2 card readers for the whole campus, I think, when I was there or something like that.
Yeah.
You'll probably remember Professor Offner because he was the faculty advisor to the St. Pat's boards. Maybe?
What was it?
Professor Offner.
Oh, yeah.
I think anybody would ever forget that guy.
And it's in the movie.
He taught statistics.
Remington was the advisor for the board for a while.
Okay, maybe I had the year, but I thought at one time he was, this was kind of like 71 or something. He was kind of an interesting character. Everybody loved him. He's a real character.
I had one prof that made sure that you remembered him for years to come. His name was Achenbach. And one of the questions on one of his first tests was, how do you spell my last name? And on the next test, which was really funny because everybody was ready for that, he asked, what's my first name? And I don't think anybody got either one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been great listening to these stories. Some are new to me, some aren't. I'm sure everyone can say the same thing. You know, we've had a lot of tradition on this campus, and that's why we come back, because of the tradition and the people who taught us and worked with us. We've had good profs and bad profs. Those we'd like to remember and those we'd like to forget. We've had good memories most of the time, except for physics and chemistry tests and taking differential equations.
Yeah.
One bad prof I had was Wolfman for chemistry.
Oh God. Yeah. Best thing I ever did was figure out how to get out of that class and get a different instructor.
Is Wolfman the guy that used to come in and stick a cigarette lit on its butt on the desk and just start teaching class? Wouldn't even put it out. He just stick it like a little rocket standing on top of the desk. I think it was Wolfman.
Don't know about that one.
People were still smoking back then, but
yeah, we used to smoke in class.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you remember Professor Kerr in math? For diffie-Q?
Oh yeah.
Dickie Kerr.
Yes, I remember that name.
Yeah.
You couldn't smoke in that class. No, he got very upset if you smoked in that class.
Oh no, he had a very serious disease, Shekels or something like that.
He also had emphysema.
Professor Kerr was part of the Death March on Bataan.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
The most memorable prof I had was Mark the Surf. Anybody else have him for psych? Professor Murphy.
I can't believe you said that. Absolutely. Sometimes you think you make yourself this stuff up after 50 years, but yeah, no, I do remember.
He lost his wife in March.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, cancer.
Hmm.
Are you the only one on so far?
They're moving now.
There's 25 people here.
26. Can you only see one?
I can only see one, yeah.
You want to come over here?
Right.
That's okay.
See if I can get you going.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Better?
Better. Okay, better. Thank you. Yeah. Are we on?
I think we're on.
Yep. Okay, good. Well, I'm Matt Coco, past president of the Alumni Association, and I'll be your host for this evening. We're just talking about some of the old traditions and shenanigans and whatever that went on this campus when we were all in school. So, and I know when I go back to fraternity house, they'll say they did something. They'll say, well, isn't that a tradition? I said, no, never heard of it. So traditions come and go, but around our era, I'm sure we all have some of the same ones. How about when, were you around when Jacqueline Gym was torn down?
From when I got here the year after it was torn down. I got here in 66. I think it was torn down in 65.
Well, it was the spring of 66.
Okay, well, I got here in the fall. I got here in the fall of 66. So.
Yeah. That was the thing to do, to go between class and watch the headache ball swing into the old gym building. And as it came down.
Yeah, it's kind of, funny thing about that is because the gym had been torn down, they waived the requirement that you had to pass a swimming test before you could graduate.
Exactly. Since water hazards are a fact of engineering, all students will learn to swim. Not applicable in 1966.
Right. I thought water hazards were something you hit a golf ball into.
Yeah, right.
Well, then how about the Gail Bowman when it was brand new?
Yep, I was there for that.
Were you there for that?
Yeah, we had a lot of intramurals in the Gail Bowman when I was here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they had like the volleyball and they had volleyball. They did it later, but then they had badminton and volleyball and basketball there. But originally they had them down at the high school. But
yeah,
later
well, how about
the water hazards when I was there was Frisco Pond,
and
Lions Club Park. I got thrown in on my birthday, and my roommate did the week before and broke the ice. Our birthdays were in February. But I had a friend who was thrown into Frisco Pond who really tore up his knee. He happened to land on a broken glass. So those were definite water hazards.
Well, we know it as Frisco Pond, and they know it as now, I think, as Schumann Park. So, and I didn't know there was a water at Lions Club Park.
Yes, there was a big pond there. My 21st birthday was the 100th anniversary of the university, and so they canceled classes that day. So I just sat around and waited for my roommates to take me out to Lions Club Den. So I got to ride out there in the car normally, but usually they threw you in and then drove back to town. But when they threw me in and then I got out of the water, a state highway patrol car had actually followed them into the so he was sitting up on the hill watching everything. So they said, well, we can't. They said, well, we could put him in the trunk. And they said, no, that guy won't let us put him in the trunk. So I got to sit in the floor of the front seat of the car so that they could get out of Lions Club Park without getting in trouble with state police.
Yeah. Well,
so you guys all heard Larry talking about some of the war things.
But I remember one of the memories that sticks out for me is that we were all there when the first lottery hit. And
oh yeah, yeah.
What were you doing when the lottery hit? I can remember being in the basement of the fraternity house watching it, and we had in our house we had somebody that was number 1 and somebody that was 366, and they both got drunk.
We had a number 1 in our house. He left the house as soon as his birthday came out. We saw him a week later, and he had joined the Marines.
We had in ours, we had one fellow who was a freshman and wasn't doing very well, who got a very low number. And then there was a fellow who was a senior and in ROTC. And he was in ROTC primarily because he figured he was going to end up in the war and he wanted to go in as an officer. And he was like 360. He drew 360 something. So he would have never had to have gone. I mean, not gone into ROTC.
Yeah. I don't know. I remember some of the draft boards at that time that had already gone through the whole list and were starting over again.
Yeah. How about the St. Pat celebrations? Do you remember those and how tame and calm and cool and collective they were?
Oh yeah.
And being knighted. I was never fortunate enough to be elected by my house to be knighted.
Yeah, me neither.
Throw into the tank with all the horse manure.
Oh well, it was a lot more than horse manure.
Well, I know that, but Limburger cheese and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the guys before said it started out with raw bad milk from the Tucker Dairy. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, that tradition lived on for a long time.
Oh, I was on the board, so I was part of making that tank.
Yeah. How about the library? You all knew the library as what's on campus now. Had it left Parker Hall by the time you started school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a new one.
It was in a local bar.
How about the local bars? The local bar, Top Hat Lounge, right?
Top Hat Lounge, Moutre's, Ramey's. There was a place called Blues when I was in school up on 63, just a little east of where the Greyhound bus station was.
Good old Greyhound bus station, I remember that.
Yeah, but yeah, Top Hat Lounge, also known as Bear Tracks.
Yeah.
Bear Burton was the bartender, he and his wife Daisy. And Bear left Top Hat Lounge, I don't know, 63, and went to work for the university as the on-campus mailman. So, how about the ratio of co-eds on campus?
Never saw one.
I think there were about 50 some of them when we started.
I married one.
Yeah, they were. What we called the woman's dorm was really just I don't even think it was owned by the university, but it was a residence right next to the Kappa Sig House on State Street, just to the north of the Kappa Sig House.
14 girls lived there.
Yeah, well, around 68, they had a liberal arts, didn't they? That brought about 5 girls.
Yeah.
I have a question. Who put together the campus statistics? Because
what?
Who put together the campus statistics?
Oh.
They said, fraternity chapters, we had 4.
We had 20 when I was on campus.
Right. That's what they say for 1970, 1971.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out the stats either.
They said there was a sorority house. Okay, how do you have a sorority if you don't have any women?
Well, I don't know when did sorority start.
I think there was a sorority house before I left in 71.
No, it wasn't in 1970.
No.
Yeah.
Like I said, what's the ratio of women to men nowadays? Like basically, when you got there,
it's about 25%. About 25% of the enrollment is women.
Yeah, it's like 30, 25 to 30.
and based on, back when we were in school, they said, hey, our first day of orientation at the local theater, look to your left and look to your right. They're not going to be there at graduation.
Yeah, that was the story.
Graduation rates today, boy, about anybody can graduate.
Well,
S&T.
one of the criteria used for rating a university is its retention rate. So
yeah, and
they don't want you to leave today.
Right.
Okay. Back in 1970, all men's was 2.0, which was a C. You know what it is nowadays? 3.0.
It's close to a 3, yeah.
Talk about a participation award.
Yeah. I don't know that they still hire us a lot. They're still sought after. Everybody's got a job offer at the end, so I don't know that it's really been that much of a decline. The ACT rates that come into the campus are some of the highest in the state.
Yeah. How about when there were party weekends or busload of girls would come down from another school? You guys remember that or participate in any of that?
All school mixer.
Yeah, that was one of the things going.
I don't remember one mixer. That was when I was a freshman.
Yeah, party weekends were, I know our house had 3 in the fall and 3 in the spring. And
on one of the party weekends, they moved us all out of Kelly Hall to let the women stay there.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know if it was the whole house or maybe it was just one floor, but they moved us out for the party weekend.
I think it was one of the other houses, one of the other dorms.
Holtman Hall.
I tell you what has disappeared is the eating clubs. They don't exist anymore.
Oh no, there were
we had 4 or 5. We had 4 or 5 of them when I was there.
Yeah, I think Tech Club became Sigma Chi.
I was in Tech Club and Engine Club merged and became Tech Engine or Engine Tech. I forget which, and there was 59ers and Shamrocks and Prospectors, and was there a campus club too?
Yeah. I was in Shamrock for 1 semester, and then I spent the rest of the time at Engineers Club because it was closer.
I think about 66, they had 6.
Is that right?
What was the name of the club that was open in the summertime for the summer school students? I remember there was one that was open.
Oh,
I thought that was Tech Club.
I think you're right. I think it was Tech Club. I was there for a couple of summer schools, but I don't remember which one.
Well, I had to do my own cooking in summer school. Yeah. But now there's none. There's none. But that's just the campus. They live a different lifestyle. The students do. How about Saturday morning classes?
But Saturday morning physics tests.
Exactly. And chemistry.
Well, not just so much the test, but when I started school, Saturday morning classes were standard. Most everybody had Saturday morning classes.
And Saturday morning lab.
It was either a lab or if you took a 3-hour class, it met on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So
that Saturday morning routine was just a training exercise because when you got children, well, you got 24/7 obligations, especially when they're young.
Well, I understand it started after World War II when all the guys came back on the GI plan and there was not enough classroom space to have classes during the, so they started with classes started at 7:30 in the morning, and you had that half a Saturday class on Saturday morning, a 3-hour lab or a 1-hour lecture, whatever it might be. So yeah, that started after the influx of GIs from World War II.
I remember a particular Saturday morning 7:30 physics test where there was halfway in, there was a ruckus in the back of the room, and the guy got up, broke his slide rule over his knee, tore up the paper, and said, "I don't need this shit," and ran out of the room. It was a fraternity prank. He wasn't even taking the course.
Well, does Rolla have any evening classes at this time?
Oh yeah, yeah. There are a lot of them, both for the students, and they get a lot of students from over at Fort Leonard Wood come over for evening classes. So
well, that's what I figured for daytime professionals who are going to graduate school.
Yeah, and I know at our fraternity house, it disrupts the evening meal because guys, you know, have to go to they have a class. So they either grab something on the run or they keep some food in the kitchen for them for when they come back after class. But yeah, they have evening classes pretty regular.
Yeah. The Rolla St. Louis Extension, that used to be on the UMSL campus. Is that located in DePere, Missouri now?
I don't know if they even have it anymore.
It might be virtual.
Last I heard, it was in DePere.
Yeah, I think it's in.
Yeah, that's what I heard also. Of course, that was like 5 years or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
Carlene says it's virtual in DePere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How about the local theaters? You remember those?
Yeah, Ritz and Uptown.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ritz and the Uptown.
I don't remember the Uptown.
It's where the
on Pine Street. Right about 11th and Pine, wasn't it?
Yeah,
right where the Hasselman Alumni House is now.
Yeah, well, we tore it down to build this alumni house. Yeah, but the other one was the Ritz that needed to be torn down.
What movies do you show there at the alumni house?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
If you haven't been to campus and seen it, you need to come. It's worth the trip just to see the house.
Yeah,
the house that Matt built. The house that Matt built.
Yeah. Do you remember the Greek games and Carnival?
Oh, Greek Week.
Yeah, Greek Week. And when I was in school, it was in the spring. I don't know what about you guys, but
yeah, it was spring.
They started
the first weekend in May, but yeah, there was a carnival out at Lions Club Park on Friday night, and then had the Greek games on Saturday, which they were both a lot of fun. Really enjoyed those.
When I was there, they started this god-awful tradition of trying to make the shillelaghs as big as they possibly could.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There was one that had one motorized.
They were ginormous. I mean, originally you had to have one guy carry it. So we had the biggest, beefiest guy in the house had to carry it about 3 steps just to say he could.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they still make them like that.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know where they carry them, but they're around the fraternity house. Yeah, they do one every year. At least my house does. Yeah. How about burning the outhouse?
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I remember there was somebody, I think it was a utility pickup truck from the city. They were there trying to do something as they're burning the outhouse, and they were throwing cherry bombs on, and these guys are just trapped inside their truck. It was in '66.
Yeah, I never witnessed it. I heard about it, but I never went to it. But the other group said that, yeah, they'd burn it in front of the chancellor's house. And then they went up, one year they went up to the girls' dorm, or we thought was a girls' dorm. And another year they came here to the Uptown Theater and all got in for nothing to watch a movie.
Yeah, people yell free show at the Ritz.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get in. We didn't get in.
Do they still do the burning of the outhouse, Sterling?
Nope.
Nope. Another tradition by the wayside.
At one point, they actually had to build outhouses because they couldn't find any.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. How about the coaches? You know, Gail Bowman, we named a building after him. And Dewey Allgood,
yeah,
Billy Key, and I'm sure there were other assistants, but you guys remember them?
Yeah.
You know, I got to know Billy Key really well after I graduated, a real gentleman. And he was president of the NCAA at one time. He served, I think, a 2 or 3 year term, but just really a prince of a guy. Yeah.
I remember basketball games, UMR basketball games at the Rolla High School.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the old gym, there was a balcony on each side. And opposing teams hated to come here to Rolla and play because minors would sit up in that gym and they'd sit underneath the handrail. If you picture, there's a 2-rail handrail, and they'd sit there with their legs hanging over. There was, and it was very intimidating. You know, I find that hard to believe, minors not being gentlemen at a basketball game, but I was told.
Right. I remember a particular football game playing Cape Girardeau, and they were the Indians or something. I don't know what they were. Yeah. But the Rolla band got a guy on a horse, and he started playing a charge. Ran down the field playing a charge. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they were pretty wild. Pretty wild. Yeah. You know, we have a lot of, we think, traditions or things that went on when we were on campus, and you go back to the fraternity house and they say, we do this. Isn't that traditional? And I'll say, no, I never heard of you doing that before. So I think everybody builds their own traditions throughout the years. Things may last for 6, 8, 10 years, but they don't seemingly go on forever, for good or for bad.
St. Pat's does.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess
well,
what they
St. Pat's, there's still Greek weekend.
Yeah, okay.
Do you remember the one where we passed people around? Almost every event would be passing people around the stadiums.
Here on campus?
Yeah. And also in the high school. That's when it started, I think, in the high school.
It's the high school basketball games. It's the college basketball games in a high school gym.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Body surfing?
Yes.
I think part of that was
that's how you got somebody to an upper seat.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to get up to move, send them up to an upper seat or something like that, they'd pass them up.
Right.
Then they started trying to throw them.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember intramural sports used to be really huge. I don't know if they're still quite that huge.
I think they are, but I noticed our house, Rich, has, they were having, I forget what it was, and they have 3 teams.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know how they determine a champion, but there were 3 teams. So the intramurals are still big. How about favorite professors?
Jack Bobbitt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, he was.
He was a great, you ever play racquetball or handball with him?
Yes. He once invited me to play at their, they had that clubhouse someplace. And I embarrassed myself because I couldn't, kept swearing because I would miss.
Yeah. We had started the rugby team his first year here, and I had him for an 8:30 class on Monday morning. And of course we played the rugby games in St. Louis on Sundays. And every Monday he'd be there with some comment, you know, are you battered and bruised, or I see you scored, you know, things like that. But he was both a good prof, a great teacher, and just a prince of a guy, you know.
Yeah.
But he'd whip you on the handball court. He was really good. He was really good. I understand he died of cancer.
He had cancer when he died.
Yeah.
I liked Earl Richards. I had him for 2 electrical engineering classes. And then, of course, I wonder how many of you had David Schaller at the St. Louis Graduate Engineering Center.
Neither. No. I guess we all tell stories about profs we liked and didn't like. You know, I had some great ones over in the civil department. I can't say the same about the math department. But
how about favorite or not favorite classes? Talk about electrical engineering at Jack Morris for wave theory. That was a waste of time. I didn't understand it. He couldn't teach it.
Differential equations.
Oh yeah, I took those in St. Louis on summer school. That was
yeah,
good.
Me too.
Yeah.
I didn't learn anything from them either.
No. And you know, they were starting new departments. The engineering management was a new department when you guys were in school.
Yep.
And I understand there were some good guys there. I had a guy taught an econ class, Captain Christie.
Yes.
I understand.
I never had him, but I remember him.
Yeah. And others talked about the fellow who started the first head of the engineering management department.
Bernie Sarche.
Yeah. And of course, in the civil department, there was Paul Munger and Jerry Bayless. And I'm sure we could talk about every department had the good guys and the not so good guys.
I can't think of the guy's name, but he taught technical writing, and I think he taught speech. Can't think what his name was, but he was good.
Yeah. How many of you electrical engineering students remember Jim Grimm?
Yep.
Oh yeah,
yep.
James Grimm.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think all of us remember him.
Well, he had the textbook. The textbook was by him.
No, I think it was by Now.
Yeah, Robert H. Now.
Now had a textbook, but Grimm.
W171.
Yeah, Grimm had the initial, beginning of engineering textbook. At least the one I had.
Yeah.
He taught the first course in electrical engineering, and he was always.
But I don't remember a textbook for that. There was no textbook when I went there.
I had a book by him. I don't know what it was. I don't remember which one it was, but I had a book by him.
Yeah, others have mentioned they've had a book by Grimm, a basic
right.
First
Basic
course for double E's.
Right, basic electricity, right.
Who was the old guy?
I can remember the name of the physics professor I had for first physics course. He was quite a character. His PhD was in education. And so all the other professors hated him, but man, the students just loved the guy. He was fantastic. He had one lung. He'd be writing on the chalkboard and he'd get to coughing because of the chalk dust. He'd kick an eraser across the room, and he was always bombing the physics building because remember we had all those, the Air Force would fly their test runs over Rolla and do the supersonic booms while they went over.
Yeah, I was trying to remember his name.
I didn't have him.
I can't, but he was popular among the freshmen.
Oh, yep. Remember team teaching. They introduced team teaching in for I think math and physics, I think it was. And that's when they started the one lecture series, and then you had 3 classes of whatever they call them. The grad students taught the classes. The only time you ever saw the professor was in the lecture.
Yeah, they call them lectures 3 times a week, and then you had the grad student come in 1 day a week.
We had the grad student 3 days a week and the lecture 1 day a week. I thought that's what it was. Maybe it was the other way.
Yeah.
I had a professor in math. I believe his name was Luffel. He was blind. He taught Calc 3. Calc 3 has a lot of rotations of solids and stuff. The guy was dynamite. He was fascinating.
Well, you had Shaky Kerr over in the math department.
I had him, Shaky Kerr, right?
Oh, yes. I had Shaky Kerr. I had him for Diffie. No, it wasn't Diffie. I forget what it was.
I think the blind guy was named Rankin. Does that sound correct?
No, it was Luffel.
Or Kerr?
I believe it was Luffel.
Okay.
It was.
He would bring his wife in to proctor the test when he gave a test.
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember that. But I was through with math by the time you guys were in school.
I remember sometimes on test days, the professor would leave the classroom. Then you find something in the test that appeared to was a mistake and the teacher wasn't there. So you were kind of stuck. Any of that? Do any of you remember that?
No.
I guess that didn't happen to a whole lot of people.
What was the name of the old building right next to Harris Hall that they tore down? It was always so hot in the winter because they had the steam things belching hot air all the time. I can't remember.
Well, there was Harris Hall. That was the math building, wasn't it?
Right. The Harris Hall was a big concrete building.
The old mining. I think it was the old mining building.
You're right. The mining building. Exactly right.
I think at one time there was a cafeteria in there. Well before.
Yeah, there was.
The old cafe.
Yeah, before the student union opened, there it was squeezed in there next to Harris Hall. There was a cafeteria in there. Yeah, when I finally passed differential equations, I said I'd never go into Harris Hall again, and I haven't. So when they decide to demo that, I want to be there.
That's where they put that's where you put the new big IBM 370 machine that you had to do all the card programming with.
Yeah.
That was in the basement of Harris Hall.
Yeah, computer science.
Well, guys, yeah, it's been fun. I'm getting the cue here that we're ready to move on to the next program. So it's been talking with you guys. You know, I'll be very honest. It's a lot more fun being in person. But this has been great. I see a lot of familiar faces there, so glad you could take the time to join us.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
You want to watch the main on my big screen?
I'll come over and stand behind you.
I can turn it.
Oh, where are you going to sit?
Along these cables will go.
You got all those cables. I'll come.
Okay. I'll just go there.
There he is, Hugh.
Hey, Hugh, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I wanted to say a few words. My name is Nancy Hatch. I'm the Assistant Director for the Minor Alumni Association. I hope you all enjoyed that, and a special thanks to our hosts, Matt Coco and Dr. Larry Gregg, for doing those sessions for us. They were a lot of fun. And now that you've gotten some of the inside scoop on Forged in Gold, I think it's a most appropriate time to announce our winners. We have randomly drawn 5 names out of the attendees tonight, and each of those people will be sent a Forged in Gold book. So drum roll, please. You guys ready?
Ready.
William Bishop is our first winner.
Alphabetical order.
Alphabetical order, you got it.
Thank you.
Bill.
Second winner is Earl Burke.
Hey, thank you.
Number 3 is Henry Dipple. I hope I said that right. Henry Dipple.
Yeah, I remember Henry.
Number 4 is Sandra Hartman McBride.
Oh my gosh.
And then number 5 is Charlie White. So congratulations to you all. I'm sure we will get those out in the next few days. So keep an eye out for them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
So now it's time for our musical entertainment provided by JMC 50. So JMC 50 refers to 2 popular bands that were back on campus in the 60s. The J is for the Jaguars and MC is for Miller's Cave. So I'd like to call on Hugh Cole, who is a 1972 engineering management grad, to introduce the band and say a few words. So Hugh, it's all yours.
Okay, Nancy, thank you so much. I have a cohort on here from the band. Dean Park is here too. He and I are the children of the bunch here because we didn't graduate till 72. So, you know, next year is our time. And so we're only 49, you know, but anyway, we played on campus everywhere back in the day. We talk about, we played at the 100th anniversary of the school, the centennial, and we're trying to get back to play the 150th. Because we're going to have a problem playing the 200th, you know. But it's going to be tougher that next time. But we played all the fraternities. We played a lot of dances at Shamrock, at eating clubs. Yeah, Dean, help me out here. You there? Can you hear me, Dean? So anyway,
now I'm here.
Now he's there. Okay, so yeah. Dean and I, were pretty active on campus, all in the band. People say, "What did you do?" Well, we played music, and that's pretty much what we did. But there was a place outside of town called the Iron Mug. Anybody remember the Iron Mug?
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was just west of town. So we were kind of the house band there for a while, and you know, so we played up in Columbia. We played in St. Louis, you know, but we
made the cover of the Rolla book.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we're on the cover of the Rolla book. Dean and I are. We have no idea how that happened. We were coming out of the library. I had no idea why we were in the library either, but that's a different story. But anyway, so we do have some music during the COVID period. We had to go underground, so we went. We started doing some music from quarantine, where we all played our individual parts in our own individual. Where we're located, and then we tied those things together, audio and video, and created some. We think it's pretty good material. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and introduce that, and I think somebody's going to go ahead and play that.